Hey guys, this is Brian from Starcastic Remarks. Thank you for clicking on this video. In this video, we're going to take a look at what the standings are going to look like at the end of the year for the Honda West Division, what I think they were going to look like. Let's go take a look. Alright, so this is the second video in this series. Yesterday I did the Central Division and what I thought the Central Division would look like. But today we're going to take a look at what I think the West Division is going to look like. So in the West Division, there's going to be these teams. You got the Anaheim Ducks, the Arizona Coyotes, the Los Angeles Kings, the San Jose Sharks, the Colorado Avalanche, the Minnesota Wild, the St. Louis Blues, and the Vegas Golden Knights. All right, let's take a look at this. At number 8, I have got the San Jose Sharks. So I don't believe there's any kind of bounce back that some of the people are talking about that they have. They've, in their forward group, they've still got Logan Couture. They've still got Patrick Marleau and Kevin LeBanc and some others. But Jumbo Joe is gone, and that's a big deal for this team because even though he may not be the same Jumbo Joe that he was, 10, 15 years ago, he was still a big leader in their locker room. So they're really going to miss that leadership in that locker room. And with their defense depth, I mean, Erik Karlsson is great and so is Brent Burns, but they both had absolute miserable seasons. And I'm sorry to Erik Karlsson, but I really think the detriment to this team is him. When they traded for him, they traded a first-round pick away, which ended up being Jake Sanderson, the number 5 overall pick. They lost Joe Pavelski as well, and Joe Pavelski came to Dallas. Thank you very much, San Jose, and had a great Stanley Cup final run. So I really think that he's one of the big reasons why this team is really suffering right now. And then when you look in net at San Jose, you've got Martin Jones and you've also got Devin Dubnyk. Now, they both had atrocious seasons, and Martin Jones is better than that. I feel like he's a better goaltender than what the stats say for this past year. And Devin Dubnyk was outplayed by Alex Stalock in Minnesota this year. So when they traded for him, I guess they're just hoping that he has a bounce-back season. And, now that I think about it, actually, not only was Devin Dubnyk outplayed by Alex Stalock in Minnesota, but in San Jose this past year, there were at times that Martin Jones was outplayed by Aaron Dell. And Aaron Dell left and went to Toronto. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't sign Aaron Dell and they went and traded for Devin Dubnyk. I'm not quite sure what the thought process there was, but I guess we'll see how that goes. So I've got San Jose at 8. So at 7, I've got the Arizona Coyotes. So the Arizona Coyotes, they've got Phil Kessel. I just don't think he's got much left in his tank, and he's not playing with the same caliber players like he was when he was in Pittsburgh. So that's just a huge detriment to them. And then obviously the loss of Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall was not going to be re-signed in Arizona, and it seemed like at times that he might stay there, but in the free agency period, he went and signed a contract with Buffalo. Who would have seen that? I would not have seen that at all. When it comes to their defense is just it's not where it should be. I mean, Chikrin is a great defenseman, and OEL is good too. Oliver Ekman-Larsson. But this team just had all these rumors about OEL, and they were trying to trade him because of his cap hit. He said, "Oh no, I'm only going to go to Vancouver or Boston," and they were never able to make a deal with either one of those teams. And I think OEL knew that, and he just wants to stay in Arizona. So I don't know. Maybe they bounce back, but I just don't see it. And the only good thing about this team and why I love this team is their goaltending tandem. So they've got Antti Ranta and Darcy Kemper. And honestly, Darcy Kemper is arguably one of the most underrated goaltenders in the NHL. He's kind of overlooked just because of where he plays and that he plays on a bad team. So that's the one thing that Arizona does have going for them. Now, this Arizona team has had a hard time in with the offseason stuff, with the loss of John Chenka and him leaving the team, and all the stuff they've had to deal with. They had one of their picks that had some issues off the ice a long time ago. Now, I won't get into that, but let's just hope that things look up for the Arizona Coyotes from here on out. So at number 6, I have got the Anaheim Ducks. So the Anaheim Ducks, they still have Ryan Getzlaf in their forward depth, and they also got some other players. But the one I'm really excited for, I mean, just as a Stars fan, I mean, just a hockey fan in general, is seeing Trevor Zegras. If he doesn't make the team, I would be very surprised out of camp. And I know that he just played at the World Junior Championships, but he's got to be at least given a roster spot. You would think that the way that he played at that tournament and the way that his development has gone, that they would at least give him like the second center line spot. So we'll take a look and see if Trevor Zegras is as good in the NHL as he was at the World Juniors. And he was excellent. I loved watching him for Team USA. For their defense depth, it's okay. But they did go out and get Kevin Shattenkirk. So along with Ryan Getzlaf, maybe these two grizzled veterans can kind of help lead this new young team along and kind of build them up and start to make the climb to make the playoffs again and be more relevant. And then for their goaltenders, John Gibson is excellent. Again, he's another goaltender that's kind of overlooked because of the team that he plays for and how much they've sucked the past couple of years. So we'll see how they do. I mean, it's possible that I could see them maybe even making that 4th spot, but I think there's one other team that's going to be better than them. So at 5, I've actually got the Los Angeles Kings. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they're looking toward the future and everything, and the future is promising, but they had a bunch of prospects in the World Junior Championship. So just watching that game, I think they had 9 total. The Stars, in comparison, had 1, and that was Thomas Harley. But they had a bunch of people playing for those junior teams. So the future is very bright in Los Angeles. But I think Los Angeles is better than what they gave off this season. And you still got Drew Doughty. You still got Anze Kopitar. And you've now got the new starting goaltender in Cal Peterson. Now, I'm a little bit iffy about Cal Peterson because he hasn't been proven himself as a NHL starting goaltender yet. But that's not really his fault. He hasn't been a starting goaltender yet. So I think he's going to be excellent for this team, and he's going to lead this team, and they're just going to miss the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes with Cal Peterson. Now, the only other thing I want to talk about Los Angeles with is Quentin Byfield. Now, are they going to rush him in and allow him to make the team right out of camp, right out of his draft? I think it's possible. He seems like he's NHL ready, but he's not fully matured, and he's got a lot of growth to still do, especially on the defensive side of the puck. So if he does make the team, I think they may kind of lower his minutes a little bit, maybe put him on the 3rd line, maybe the 2nd line if they have some injuries in the top 6. But we'll see how Quentin Byfield does with this very young and very promising Los Angeles Kings team. So those are the 4 that I've actually got missing the playoffs. So at number 4, and these are the teams that I think are going to make the playoffs. Number 4, I have the Minnesota Wild. So Bill Guerin took over this team, and it seemed like he kind of knew what he was doing. He made a ton of moves over the offseason, including getting Johansson and trading out Stahl and a bunch of other moves that, he was very busy this offseason and making sure. But I think the biggest thing that everybody is excited about, if you're a Minnesota Wild fan, is the arrival of Kaprizov. And he's supposed to be this Russian phenom, supposed to be really good, and he's hopefully going to spark the Minnesota Wild that lost in the qualifying round last season. So they made a bunch of big changes, and along with Johansson, and I'm just looking at it now, they also added Bukestad. So it kind of looked like that Bill Guerin was trying to solidify the middle there. But he said that Johansson was going to play center for the team. But it kind of looks like when you look at their training camp roster that he's playing wing. So that might give an option for somebody like Kaprizov to come up, and then also maybe even Marco Rossi. Marco Rossi, I know he's a short dude, so I'm rooting for him. But is he ready? Is he ready to make the NHL? And I think he might be given a chance to make that team right out of his draft year. And I know he was drafted much lower, but I think he was overlooked because a lot of scouts have said that he's NHL ready, but there's not much growth there to be had. So basically, he's good, he's ready to go, but there's not much growth that, like, Quentin Byfield may have more growth and may eventually be a better player than Marco Rossi. But we'll see how that goes. So you got a lot of things going for those people. So on the goaltending side, Devin Dubnyk is obviously gone. I already talked about him. And then they brought in Cam Talbot. Now, Cam Talbot, I think he did okay for Calgary, and I definitely do think that he is an upgrade over Devin Dubnyk. But I'm not so sure that Cam Talbot is the guy that's going to lead you to the Stanley Cup final. So I think this is an above average team, and we'll see how they perform in the playoffs and in the season this year. So at number 3, I've got the St. Louis Blues. So obviously the biggest thing with the Blues this year was the loss of Alex Pietrangelo and Jake Allen and Alexander Steen. But also on top of that, it looks like that Vlad Tarasenko is going to be out for a while too. So Pietrangelo goes to Vegas, Jake Allen gets traded, and he goes to Montreal. Alexander Steen retires. So they've got a lot of players that they lost out of that 2019 Cup team. But they did end up signing Torrey Krug, who was a cheaper option, and now obviously he's not as good as Petro, but he will be a good addition to this team, along with Mike Hoffman, who I think is still on a PTO, a professional tryout contract, but I think he'll get a contract. I'm just not sure how much it's going to be. And then obviously you've still got Ryan O'Reilly, who they just named as their new captain. So is this a step back? I'm not sure. We'll have to look and see. But another thing about the St. Louis Blues is now their goaltending depth has taken a little bit of a hit, because with Jake Allen gone, that means that Jordan Bennington is he is the starter. Like, there's nobody else that's going to take his net, and whoever backs him up is not going to play more games than him. I would probably guess it's going to be like a percentage-wise, it'd be like a 70-30 split where Bennington's playing most of the games. And he looked rough in the COVID playoffs. So I guess St. Louis fans are just going to have to hope for a bounce back from him, and that was just a COVID thing, because the St. Louis Blues did deal with a lot of COVID cases right before the COVID playoffs started. So, all right. So anyways, at number 2, I've actually got the Vegas Golden Knights. So the Vegas Golden Knights, they added Alex Pietrangelo, like I said, but they also lost Nate Schmidt. So this team seems to have this, and it seems to have this negative connotation around this team, that they're not very loyal to the players that they sign long-term contracts to. So Nate Schmidt absolutely loved playing for Vegas, and the Vegas fans loved him, it seemed like. But trading him out and sending him to Vancouver so that they could get Petro and stay under the cap, is that going to mess with the chemistry of this team? I don't know. And then Robin Lehner signed that 5x5 deal, 5 years for $5 million per year, which is great for him. He's finally found a destination in a place where he can be the number 1 goaltender. That's absolutely awesome for him. I'm happy for him. So that means that Fleury is going to be the backup. So that's a very expensive backup. I think he makes $7.5 million. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the biggest thing about this team is not even necessarily about the regular season. It's the performance of their forwards in the playoffs. So there were a lot of players that just didn't show up in the playoffs like they did in the regular season. So Jonathan Marchessault didn't show up. Riley Smith did not show up at all. And then I think the biggest one that a lot of people talked about was Max Pacioretty. And man, they were hard on him. And I mean, these same rumors are following him from Montreal. Everyone from Montreal said, "Oh, he's not a playoff performer, so we're just gonna get rid of him." So I guess that it's not even the regular season that the Vegas Golden Knights have to be worried about. It's the playoffs. So we'll see how they do. And then obviously at number 1, I've got the Colorado Avalanche. So the Colorado Avalanche just look absolutely scary up front. Honestly, I think that if one of their 2 goaltenders had been healthy in the playoffs, either Francouz or Grubauer, I don't think the Stars really stood a chance in beating them in the best of 7 series. But they've still got their big 3. They've still got McKinnon. They still got Landeskog. They've still got Mikko Rantanen. But they also went in the offseason, and Joe Sakic went and got Devin Taves from the Islanders, who were cap-strapped, and they were in cap hell, and he just gave up 2 second-round picks for that, which that is absolutely awesome. And then to solidify even more depth at the forward position, he went out and got Brandon Assad. So this team, with the players they already had, look really scary. And honestly, I think this is the Stanley Cup favorite for a lot of people around the country and around the league, is that these guys are expected to win the cup. These are the guys. So you've got Cale Makar on the defensive side, and then not only do you have Cale Makar, but you got Sam Girard, and then, let's not forget that Bowen Byram is coming up as well. So this team is just absolutely stacked, and I am scared to death of this team if the Stars have to face them in the playoffs at all. I'm just happy that we don't have to face them in the regular season. All right, guys. So that's my predictions. Just as a quick recap: at 8, San Jose. 7, I've got the Coyotes. 6, I got the Ducks. 5, the Kings. 4, the Wild. 3, the Blues. 2nd, the Golden Knights. And 1st, Colorado Avalanche. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Tell me why you think I'm wrong or why you think I'm right. Go ahead and click like and subscribe, and look for more daily hockey content from this channel. Thank you guys for clicking the video, and we'll catch you next time.